What's up, grinders? If you're watching this video as it's released, that means I've literally touched down in China for my month-and-a-half stay here. But don't you dare for one moment think you don't have to do your grinding. My forever watching eyes upon thee all. So in this video, I'm going to be watching a video from another YouTuber who's learning Chinese. Apparently he's at an intermediate level somewhere similar to my own. And one of my subscribers said maybe I can relate, so let's check it out together, shall we? The name of the video is 自言自语我会说汉语但我听不懂 So, speaking to oneself, I can speak Chinese, but I don't understand. We can all relate, my young man. Okay, let's go together. I've sped it up a little bit just for the purpose of reviewing the video.
我正在非常难过，而且同时很生气，因为今晚我又意识到了我的中文多么差啊！当然我只学了中文1年半。但是我花了太多时间了。
So he's been studying for a year and a half and he's already able to have a conversation. Bro, that is an insane achievement for a year and a half. This is what I get so pissed off at these fake ass polyglots out there who are like, you can learn a language in 3 months, my God almighty. No, you can't. Okay? What you're seeing on screen right now is a lot more realistic representation of what's achievable when you put in a lot of hard work.
至少1000个小时。
Oh wow, he's done 1,000 hours worth. Okay, so I've done like 370 hours of comprehensible input, and then I ditched that. Prior to that, I did probably about 200 hours of active study, and then after that, I've probably done like, I think I've done like another 250 or something like that. So what is that? Let me math that. 3 plus 2 plus 2. I've done like 700-800, something like that.
但是我感觉好像过去1年半当中，我学到了没什么。
Okay, you clearly have learned something. You're speaking the language right now.
虽然我知道很多的词，还有很多的字。
Okay, so he knows 1,500 characters. I know probably about 2K, and 3,000 words. I definitely know more words than that.
还有我可以说很多的东
And it's probably because we're using different techniques. So let's see what he says.
西，可以表达自己的想法，但是这个并不代表我听得懂中国人、当地人。 还有不是方言的问题，我今晚去了我们教会的小组，我们说了讨论了一个非常有意思的话题，然后他们问了我一个问题，那当然我听不懂，当然。
You're at a church. I don't know if they're asking specialized, church-based words or anything. I know a few religious words, but not too many.
我不知道怎么说，不知道怎么回答真的。 想放弃学习中文
And that right there, I really want to give up learning Chinese. 真的想放弃学习中文 This is the problem. So what it looks like at the moment is he's at the intermediary stage. And when you hit this intermediary plateau, as it's commonly called, you feel like you're just dumping time into the language and you're making absolutely no progress. You're not seeing progress, you're not feeling progress, and then you feel like you want to give up. But that's literally the point just before you come over the top of the mountain and you see the flag at the end. You are halfway there, my man. All you got to do is keep pushing through. It's why I call this channel the grinders, or I call everyone who comes here the grinders, because what are we doing? We're grinding every day. And that's why I made that motivational video. In fact, it seems like I made that video perfectly in time. Go check it out. Basically, track your progress in some form or another, and don't track it by hours. Hours is a terrible method for tracking. Literally write down everything new that you've learned each day that you've actively studied. Now, I don't know what study method he's using so far. All he's given me is hours, and people who usually estimate their study time based on hours are following a comprehensible input methodology. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, with comprehensible input, it's great for certain times and languages. So for example, right at the beginning of the language, to get all those most common words into your head, it's pretty good for then, especially if you're actively studying at the same time. And it's really good at the end of the language when you've already got 90% understandability, because you can just learn the rest in context. But in the intermediary plateau, which it sounds like is where he's at and where I'm at, it's not a good method. Here, you gotta grind. You gotta actively study your sentences, selectively study them, and based on what he's said so far, you've got to actually actively listen to very specific words. So I'm curious to see how he's learning new words.
我根本不明白，怎么可能？我每天看那么多的中文的视频，听很多的播客，但是在现实生活当中，没有字幕的话，有的时候好像他们在说其他的或者另外一门语言，我
Okay, that's literally it. So he just said, I've been watching videos, I've been watching podcasts. It sounds more and more like the comprehensible input methodology. The issue with this methodology, as I've pointed out multiple times before, is that you're basically going to get a diminishing return the further you go in the language, and it gets harder and harder to get new words into your head. So you need to actively focus on specific words, structures, phrases that you want to learn. And it's why I promote listening to audio cards, because what are you going to do mainly? You're going to listen. As long as you can understand the other person, you can probably bubble out something out of your mouth to respond to them. But if you can speak flawless Chinese, but you have no clue what the other person's saying, there's no point. The conversation's dead. If you can understand everything, but you can say the most basic things, then at least you can kind of keep the conversation going. Plus, with my methodology, and if you ever watches this video, please check out my video where I talk about the grind. Basically, you listen to the audio cards, you repeat them. So not only are you training your ears on the words that you think you already know, and I say I think you already know, because often what happens is you learn a word, you think you know it, you can say it, but as soon as you hear it, you don't hear it because you haven't trained your hearing. You really need to train it. And just watching podcasts and videos and stuff, it's not enough, because maybe these words that you're hearing are only being used once every like 3 or 4 podcasts. It's not enough for your ears. You don't have 18 years like a kid does, especially for a language that's as difficult as Chinese.
意见也听不懂。还有，我不需要中国人的这个叫什么 comfort。
安慰 comfort.
还有，我不需要中国人的安慰。你太厉害了 ！No， 我不是厉害。
Okay, yeah. This is a common thing among Chinese. You speak even the most basic of Chinese and they'll be like, oh my god, you're amazing! Because obviously it's not very common that a foreigner actually goes and learns their language, because there's not a real economic need to go learn their language, at least not at the moment. So you're going to get a lot of respect just for that. And then of course they're going to instantly assume you're fluent, which just always goes down great.
我觉得中国人的评论没有用。
Well, it's not useless they're common. They're showing you respect for the fact that you've at least attempted to learn their language. It just feels useless because you are unable to understand what they're saying, apart from the fact that they're complimenting you, which is so annoying. You understand they're complimenting you, but then you don't understand what they want to say next.
因为他们怎么说 ？Not a single Chinese。我简单的要说，没有中国人能了解我，因为中文是他们的母语。 他们一点也不知道学中文多么难，听得懂中文的当地人的话。
Okay, well, I'm going to say to you right now, I'm not Chinese. I understand exactly what you're going through, but I've gone through this with another language before, so I know that the only way to get through this is you have to grind. You have to do the steps every single day. And thinking about giving up will definitely not get you there. Don't look at the end goal and go, why is it so far away? Enjoy the process, take the step day by day, make the mistakes, etc. Because eventually, one day, you're going to wake up and you're just going to be there and you're going to be like, when did this happen? In fact, for example, with Esperanto, I remember still at the beginning going, why don't I understand? Why? And like, this is the simplest language in the world. I should understand by now. So like, I was like losing my shit. And then like, I remember like 5 years later or whatever, like years later anyway, I remember just having normal conversations talking about like computer programming and stuff, and then just suddenly going, wait, when did this happen? Because it's a slow process and you won't even really notice it. What you will notice is that more words will become understandable and you'll get the general gist of what's going on, but you will not know the details. You won't know really what anyone's saying. You just know they're talking about this topic and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is getting a bit interesting. And then eventually a couple of sentences will pop into existence and you'll be like, oh, okay, I know they said this, but I have no idea what the rest of it was. And then entire structures of like conversations will come in and then you won't get the rest of it. And this is the process. Eventually you'll just understand it all, but it's a slow grind to get there. And if you want to get there in a realistic way, then you got to follow a grind. What grind you follow, I don't care, but I do specify one that I think is efficient on this channel. There are other means, but you can't just sit there watching videos hoping to absorb the language. It will work, it will just take an obscene amount of time. Just think about it. Natives take 18 years to get to a really good level. Yes, after 6 years, they understand everything that a parent says, but you've only been at this for 1.5 years, and you've been doing this for what? I don't know how many hours a day, but I'm guessing it's not the same amount a kid would do. That's the problem with comprehensible input. It takes a very long time. Now, I don't want to fire up and annoy the comprehensible input people in my audience. I'm just being realistic here. You need to mix the methodologies with a very active focused study listening on audio.
多么难，还有他们总是会高估我的水平。我只说了一个句子，然后他们觉得哦，他听得懂中国人的语速。那当然不能啊。
My favorite sentence in Chinese is literally 我的中文不咋地。
我真的觉得可以两个原因，第一个是我真的太傻了，可能学中文不合适我。第二个原因就是不是我的错，事实上汉语太难了，因为我真。
Okay, it seems like the issue here is actually threefold. One, yes, Chinese is very hard. Two, you're probably not using the best methodology. I've got videos on my channel about how to improve your understanding of the language. But three, you've got an expectation that you should be fluent already. And this expectation is probably based, or has probably come from the fact that there's so many goddamn polyglots out there that promote stupid ass ideas like, oh, you can learn a language in 3 months. You can't, okay? This is going to take a long time. You literally picked one of the hardest languages for an English speaker. The fact that you've even got to the intermediary stage in 1.5 years, massive respect to you, my man. That is a hell of an achievement. But don't think that you are somehow way behind the ball or you're stupid because you don't have fluency at 1.5 years. Bro, the fact you can even have this annoyed conversation with yourself, you know, 自言自语, after 1.5 years is highly impressive. You're doing exceptionally well. Expect this.
真的讨厌这个东西，汉语的声音，汉语的单词，他们都听起来好像他们完全一样。那这是一个东西中国人不能理解，因为他们是母语者。但是对外国人来说，中文因为没有很多的独特的声音，都听起来好像是一样的。因为这个拼音方、汤、康、空、通、中、泛、繁、看、烂、慢，都是好像一样的声音，所以没有字幕的话太难了。要是
You got to drop the subtitles. Even if you have to go backwards on the videos, you need to drop the subtitles or do the active focus study that I've been talking about. Or watch it with the subtitles if you don't like doing the active study, and then turn off the subtitles, go back and watch it, and then the next day go back and watch it. You got to train your ears, not your eyes.
是中国人不会故意的说慢一点，不会放慢他们的语速，大部分的我听不懂。那我认真的，中国人他们可能觉得，但是你的发音太标准了。No.
It's a very, very common comment because obviously most Chinese people speak with a local accent of some form, or obviously they can speak, you know, the standardized Mandarin. They will always say, oh, wow, your accent's more standard than mine. And it's like, yes, I know, but I don't understand. It's very common.
这个没有什么意思。还有我能说一些的东西也没有什么意思。我在外面跟当地人说话的时候，真的几乎每一个句子我应该说，请再说一遍，我听不懂。这个怎么可能？要是我每天不会做输入的话，那肯定是我的错。但是我每天看很多的中文视频，尤其是现在因为
Okay, so he's watching 4 hours of content every day. I don't do anywhere near that amount, and it sounds like my understanding of the language is a lot higher than his, and it's probably due to my method where I do the listening to the audio cards, because as I've mentioned time and time again, I'm just going to keep harping on about this. With the whole comprehensible input methodology of just watch more and more and more, you get diminishing returns. You really need to focus on listening to the words that you want to understand, and you need to do that in context.
我有很多的空闲时间，所以我真的觉得过去1年半当中，我做了1000个多小时的输入，1000个小时，但是我觉得好像我浪费了我的时间，因为
Well, you clearly haven't wasted your time because you're having a conversation with yourself right now in Chinese. So it seems like you're just on that intermediary plateau and you just need that little bit of a push to keep going. So I made a video on motivation, funnily enough, perfectly timed for this video, I guess, that I'm watching. Go watch it, track your progress, and just understand that it's not going to come quickly. It's going to be a slow process. The bricks are going to slowly fall into place. And just don't listen to all these bullshit polyglots, hyper polyglots, whatever it is you find online, who say, oh, you can learn a language this quick. It's all a load of crap. This stuff usually takes like 5-6 years, you know, to get to a nice level in Chinese. You're already doing bloody amazing.
在这段时间太长段时间，我学到了什么？我做了什么？我甚至记得我住在澳大利亚的时候，开车的时候，工作的时候，一直听中文的内容。
Again, that definitely sounds like the comprehensible input methodology, or maybe more AJAT, or however it is. You know, like Japanese all the time, whatever that type of methodology is called. The one that's pushed by Matt vs. Japan, basically listening passively to the language. I don't think there's really that much benefit to that, in all honesty. Obviously, I haven't got like any studies to back that up, but I feel like if you're not focused on it, you're not learning from it. So, yeah, it's just seems kind of pointless to me. And it makes you feel like you're doing more work than you actually are. A lot of these things make you feel like you're putting in the hours, but you're really not. So just staring at a screen blankly, hoping to understand things in context, or listening to things while just like, you know, working at the same time. It's busy work, but is it actually productive work is the question.
还有住了在中国2个多月，但是
By the way, I live in Sydney. I'm currently right now in China, but I will be returning to Sydney. Feel free to reach out. Maybe we can meet up sometime and practice.
我觉得好像一点也没有进步，怎么可能？可能是因为我是一个笨蛋，可能是因为我的脑子不够好。我第一个
No, you're just going through all the same issues everyone goes through when they're learning a language. You're just feeling it a lot more because this is a harder language.
反应就是我想待着在我的家里，再也不想跟当地人说话，想离开中国，想放弃学习中文。
Don't give up. Okay? Keep pushing through. Do your grind. Track your progress. Prove to yourself that you're making progress. And just accept the fact that it's going to take time. Don't give up. You've invested 1,000 hours already. You are in the intermediary stage. The end goal is not that far away. If you added 1.5 more years on top of this, I guarantee you're going to be fluent. Well, you're going to be fluent enough to talk about everyday conversations.
这个真的很有意思，对不对？每天太多输入了，但是要是我能听得懂
Yeah, this is what I hate about the constant push of the comprehensible input crowd, where they're like, you just need to do comprehensible input and you will learn. It takes so long. And on top of it, you can't track your progress beyond hours spent, as clearly he's done here. And the solution is always just more input. There is ways to make systems efficient. Why not make them more efficient? Don't throw out, you know, the entire freaking baby with the bathwater. It doesn't make sense. Okay, just check out a couple of videos on my channel, the grind being one of them, and then motivation. It sounds like you need both.
80的内容那就好了，那就 OK 的。但是事实上，在现实生活当中，我跟母语者说话的时候，就像我之前说的，有的时候我感觉好像他们说另外一门语言。那当然，很多中年人他们有一个方。
Okay, I've basically got the gist of this video, so I'm just going to stop it right there. Don't give up. You're already halfway there. You've got to track your progress, do some active study, and just accept the fact that it's going to take probably another 1.5 years at your current rate to get to a nice level. So just enjoy your time in China, stumble with the locals, understand you're not going to be able to understand everything that they say, but make sure you're doing that active study on the side. I've been going on for way too long, harping along, so I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, you better be grinding, otherwise you got no goddamn excuse.